New life changes are exciting.
You sound like a late night PSA. Some commercial is gonna want to sell me a vacuum.
Not a vacuum, but I've been hearing a lot of those since I listen to certain audio things on the interwebs. I get a lot of like those late night podcast things. I don't like Spoon Radio or something like that, where it's like streaming but just for audio.
Yeah, I've seen those.
You heard of those?
Yeah,
I've never gotten into them, but I've popped into a Japanese one or two just to
like
see if I can
NPR.
keep up. But what I mean with life changes, Ryan, is I did something really small, and I felt like talking about it. I just put a glass of water by my bed at night so that I can drink it in the morning. And it's always been really tough for me to get out of bed just because I'm comfy and I could. Yeah, okay.
One step at a time here. The water that you put there, you just put it in like a normal cup or?
A cup or a mug. I mean, if I put it in a mug, dust probably wouldn't fall into it. But
See, you want something that's even more life changing.
Okay.
So you taking one step forward, right?
Okay.
Now, if you want to take a leap forward, you got to buy one of those Yeti cups, fill it up with ice.
Oh boy!
And then it'll be perfect cold when you drink it in the morning.
A controversial take here.
No,
I prefer room temperature water.
Yeah, every time I ask you, you're here, and I'm like, hey, bro, you want some ice in that? And he always says no.
It's easier to drink.
But feeling the cold water go down your throat, man, in the morning is something. It's unparalleled. I've never felt
After
something
a long
like
night's sleep, it's still the same feeling. But I will not deny that the cool umbrella going down my stomach. It's like doing a good stretch. But I put this water here.
Yeah.
It's a very common thing that when people like feel like they have lost focus or control over their day, the first step is always like water or some shit.
Sure, take a shower or something.
I wake up and say it's like 9 a.m. and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sleep for another 2 hours. Instead, I look at the water. I'm like, man, I'm not even thirsty right now. And then I go, you're probably dehydrated because you just slept for 8 hours, and not drinking water for 8 hours. You're dumb. Like, I pick up that good, cool, tall glass of water, and I slurp it down. And even if I lay down again a second or two later, or like actually a minute, I notice I feel a little bit more awake and less groggy. Now, maybe that's just the time I've spent awake is processing me to go about my day. But it does also feel like the water's helped.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't be awake, though. If it wasn't for the water, you would have fallen back asleep. So it's doing something.
It's been working. So
you don't have coffee anymore, right?
I have coffee right next to me right now.
Okay, well, you don't. So you at least not like that's not your way to wake up.
It's not my first thing, no.
Okay, that's
it's like my midday thing. But yeah, if you guys are struggling with getting out of your little bed, try doing that. It's really helped me.
Or you could set an alarm across the room, so you have to get up to shut it off.
Oh no, man! I would get up and definitely just plop back down in the bed.
Well, then you put one in the other room that continues to go, and so you gotta leave the room entirely, walk all the way.
Don't underestimate my ability to get back in bed if I have not showered yet. The shower is what locks me into getting up. Yeah, I can't go to sleep with a wet head of hair on a pillow.
No, can't do it.
You know, can't do it. But what we can do is a little introduction. He's Ryan.
He's Braxton.
And this is the Dungeon Crawl. Welcome to this fun podcast where we tell you about things and stuff related to tabletop things and stuff. Welcome back.
Or welcome for the first time.
Yeah. You guys, I see you guys trickling in.
I bought a chair this week.
Oh, is it here yet? You said it's going to be a while though, right?
Won't get shipped till the 31st. But still, I'm excited. We're now going to be new chair people.
New chair people. We both have new chairs. If you didn't know that, we do have our butts in cozy little
now get advertisements on every website for the chair that I just bought.
Oh my god! When you told me about it, I was getting ads on every website for the chair that you just bought. Something really freaky happened that has convinced me that our phones listen to us.
Oh, I bet they do.
On 100%. I was talking to my brother, and he's been thinking about getting one of those motorized scooters for quite some time. And 2 weeks ago, I sat down next to him, and he pulled up his computer and started showing me stuff. I did not text him about this. Did not type it in my phone. Did not do anything other than have my phone near us while we talk about this for like 30 minutes. I go to the bathroom and sit on the toilet and get my phone out, as you do, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, and not like 5 minutes after we talked about this, I'm getting an ad for the exact scooter that me and him decided to pick.
Yeah. Yeah, my girlfriend, she hops on TikTok every so often. We'll be chatting about something, Chick-fil-A, some restaurant that we're considering, and then she'll open up that app like a day later, and there will be various videos related to whatever the hell we just talked about. It's really weird.
Yeah, man, I used to think people who talked about this were like, okay, because I usually give people the benefit of the doubt in terms of expecting the better out of somebody. But in terms of our phones listening to us, I am now 100% in agreement that, they do.
Yeah, I don't like
with the little speaker. It's a little freaky. But there's also some freaky things in D&D that I do not ever, never ever want to run across, because they're either disgusting, they'll kill me, or maybe they're just not really fun or good with money and they ask to borrow and they never give you the money back.
Or they're a mix of all three.
Or they're a mix of all three.
And we covered 5 of these already.
We did. And we had a little interruption with Unearthed Arcana. We need to cover that as soon as it comes out. Otherwise, there's no point.
It was juicy.
It was really juicy. There's a Warlock and a Ranger thing. Oh, I'm so... Okay, before we dive into these guys, stick around for the news segment that's like in the middle of this podcast, because I'm really excited. It's nothing humongous, but it sets the foundation for something that will be humongous.
Yeah, I got to get my news jingles back in because we have not done one in a couple weeks. We
haven't done one. You expect great things. To start off, we did this with the other group of monsters. To begin, pull out a die. I don't know if you have a... We're going to go with a D6, right?
Yeah, I got one.
All right. If he lands on a 6, he's going to go with one of the 2 he has. If it's the others, we're going to go with one of the 5 I have. Because there is no D5.
Are you ready for this?
At least in real life. All right, go ahead.
That is a big ol' Snake Eyes 2.
Snake Eyes. You don't have 2 die.
No,
all right.
I know.
So we did a little sneak peek tease on the last episode of this guy.
Oh, this is the guy.
This is the guy that we talked about at the very end, just a little bit. So
it's good that we're bringing him up first then.
Yeah. If you didn't check out our last episode, you can see what we mentioned about this guy before, but we're going to jump into it again. It's the Fomorian. I'm under suspicion that Ryan is about to attack us with these guys in our current campaign.
Could be fun.
And that doesn't make me too happy because he's on this list and he's not going to be fun.
Yeah, they're pretty beefy.
They are beefy because they are giants, corrupt giants with big old bulging eyes, yellowy, and like a cat with a little slit in the middle. They are cursed by the Fae. So these giants, I believe, in their background, they used to be one of the most prime form of giants, most powerful, especially with magic, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ryan probably knows about these as well.
Yeah,
but the Fae cursed them.
The Fomorian.
The Fomorian. The Fae cursed them for which reason? I think it's just because they had so much magic ability and they were kind of haughty about it. And the Fae were like,
well, it was mainly the dudes were physically perfect, but had issues on the inside. They weren't the nicest of people.
Damn. So the Fae taught them a lesson and gave them an eternal curse that ruined their entire race forever. And now they're able to kind of put that curse back onto people. So you may have even heard of this in real life. There's some cultures that believe there's an evil eye that listens to them, kind of like a form of karma. So that's the first thing that made me think of this. But they have a curse of the evil eye thing that with a stare, the Fomorian uses its evil eye, which is another ability that allows it to force a creature within 60 feet that it can see to make a DC 14 charisma saving throw.
Which is interesting because not many things use charisma save.
No, this is real cool. Or the creature takes an average of 27 or 6d8 psychic damage, or half on a successful save. So when they do that, they can then, on a failed save specifically, the creature is also cursed with magical deformities. So if you're not a fan of, if you got a real pretty D&D character or somebody you're really priding for, they're going to enact the same thing the Fae did to them. They're going to ruin your prettiness, and your speed is going to be halved. You ain't getting away from this guy. And while deformed, You have disability or disadvantage on ability checks, saving throws, and attacks based on strength or dexterity. Transform creature can repeat the saving throw to get rid of it only on a long rest.
Yeah, and I know how much Braxton hates those things that latch on for extended periods of time. You know, diminish strength until you have a long rest or something. This is that.
Sometimes we go multiple 10 sessions without resting.
Yeah.
And this just won't be fun. Now, I know Ryan's a good DM, so he wouldn't do that for that long. He's learned his lesson since he turned me into a frog for like 12 rounds of combat. But
that was fun.
That's just... I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. That was Curse of Strahd. Those guys were freaky funky, and I'm not a fan of them. Not a fan of these guys either. And otherwise, they're a pretty typical giant. They have a multi-attack and a great club they can whack you with. They got a wonky strength, pretty much average and everything else except for Constitution. These guys...
The fact that Evil Eye, though, says that it there's no... It doesn't mention anything about remove curse or... anything. Nope. Yeah, it just says it is there. These magical deformities exist until you end it by a long rest.
Just reflects their hatred for the Fae and
granted, 14 is not that high.
No, it's not, which I'm thankful for. But if it does happen, boy, it's gonna suck.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. Otherwise, these guys are the giants of the Underdark. They dwell in beautiful caverns there that kind of reflect what they used to be. And they're strong, and they affect you for a good amount of time. And that's why I don't want to take these guys to dinner. Never, ever.
Yeah, these guys are CR8. So they can... One or two of these guys can very much start ruining a party's day.
Hopefully not our party.
Hopefully not.
But since I'm good at metagaming, a little tool tip for you guys, I will not be using this information if they show up.
I mean, even if let's say the character knows this information, it's not like it's the most helpful stuff in the world. It's not like how with the Basilisk, don't look at it or something. This is like, don't fail your save.
Well, if my character carrying were to run into these guys, he would definitely fight them because he doesn't typically run away from something. Mm-hmm. But Braxton would not want to fight these guys. No, thank you.
Even if let's say there's a plot hook, a quest line or something.
Which there is.
And you've agreed to help to kill this certain creature. Listen. Or there's something deeper that you have to get to. And if you don't succeed in it, you won't get any boons from it.
Is it worth the risk? So this is literally the situation. Ryan's being full of shit right now.
Not at all. No. It's a random plot hook in my mind.
This is literally what we're doing. All right, I'll deal with these guys this Sunday or Saturday whenever we play. Let's move on. I know Ryan's answer. He would use these guys. There's a chance it's not.
Yeah, most of the ones you mentioned, I probably would use, except for the Goth. I thought were a little weird.
Yeah. Roll that dice.
Okay. Should I roll D6 again?
Roll D6.
All right. That is another 2. Okay. 4. Here we go.
Okay. 4, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this one takes the cake for me. This is my least wanting to encounter monster as a player.
On your whole list?
Everything.
Wow. At least everything in the monster manual.
In the monster manual. So these things, I believe ice giants can not necessarily domesticate them, but can use them. They grab eggs of these guys and hatch them and use them to capture intruders or kill them or swallow them whole. So they're centipedes, and they're hot if you touch them, but they live in frosty places. These guys are the Remoraz.
Oh.
And, there's 2 of them in the monster manual here, a young Remoraz and a Remoraz. So I guess we'll start with the young one, just jumping into the stat block. Or rather, let me read the flavor text.
Yeah, let's start there.
From beneath the snow and ice bursts a Remoraz. From beneath the snow and ice bursts a Remoraz in a cloud of steam, its body pulsing with internal fire. Wing-like fins flare from the back of the creature's head, and its wide mouth brims with jagged teeth. Arctic predators. Remoraz live in Arctic climes, preying on elk, polar bears, etc. they can't tolerate warm weather, even though they're literally internally on fire.
Yeah, this reminds me of this. Just looking at it and hearing about it, this is a Monster Hunter creature.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that.
Popping out of the Iceborne area. This is a rumor. Rumor has.
Yeah.
Rumor has it. These guys are pretty rough.
Rumor has it. Rumor has. So when hunting, these guys just go deep in the snow and they wait for faint vibrations created by a creature moving above, and then they jump up and.
Sounds like your other least favorite creature, the bullet.
Yeah. I just gave somebody an encounter for those guys, which is absolutely hilarious. So the reason I think these guys are insane is because of what they can do. So if a creature touches Remoraz or hits it with a melee attack within 5 feet, it takes 2d6 fire damage. That's not insane. That's the young one.
Yeah, I've always liked the other creatures, like ones that are coated in venom or things like that make it so if the barbarian or the tank will constantly be taking damage the more they attack. And I've always liked little abilities like that.
Yeah, so the baby here, AC 14, 93 hit points. You could probably kill it in a bit. It's not too super strong, but it's immune to cold and fire, of course. Makes sense, and it does have tremor sense.
Yeah, straight up immune.
So when you get to the huge monstrosity that is the Remoraz, with its +7 strength,
yeah, the young guy is kind of boring.
So it maintains the heated body, but it goes to 3d6 fire damage when you touch it. Mm-hmm. It can bite, which has like +11 to attack, and when it hits, it's 60-10 +7.
Jesus.
Plus 3d6 fire damage because of and then if this bite hits, you're then grappled with an escape of 17 DC. And then you are also now restrained, and it can't bite on the target. At that point, it doesn't end.
No, the fun keeps going.
It goes to swallow you if you're medium or smaller that you're being grappled by it. So if this swallow hits, you go inside of its tongue, and you're blinded and restrained, and blah, blah, blah.
I love creatures that swallow, man.
Well, yeah, but do you also agree with that if it does 66 damage at the start of each of its turns?
Yeah, it's acid, man.
So
you're getting digested.
Yeah. This thing's massive, and it's really scary. So if it takes 30 damage or more in a single turn from a creature inside, then this is how you get out. The Remoraz must make a DC 15 con save.
Which has +5 too.
Which has +5 too. Or regurgitate if it fails. So the creature that jumps out falls prone with the space 10 feet of it. So, yeah. So if you touch this thing, it hurts. And if you get bitten, you're probably getting swallowed. And it's really, really freaking scary. And its stats are massive with it. It's 17 AC, which isn't super high, but it's a challenge rating 11.
So, I mean, you either got to kill this guy fast if someone gets swallowed, or the person inside just has to constantly be doing 30 damage.
Yeah.
And then hope that they don't roll a 10 on their con save.
Which would suck. The thing that I really think makes these things scary is you're not going to encounter them alone.
Yeah.
First off, there's going to be probably a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all,
nests. Yeah.
Frost giant hunters scour the icy waste for Remoraz nests and eggs.
Yeah,
so you prize these ones.
You could have an ice giant or frost giant with these guys.
Mm-hmm. So this would be a fairly high level encounter. Like an infestation with
these things are stronger than a frost giant.
Yeah. So I don't know how and why they were working with the frost giant. I guess they see it as their mother. But these guys,
yeah, well, I mean, it's like a dog, they raised them. I think they have to get it as a baby, as an egg.
I guess most dogs are probably stronger and more capable of killing things than their owners.
Probably.
Huh. This makes sense. But these guys are my least favorite because I feel like they're terrifying. They're truly terrifying.
I mean, especially just the way they look, man.
Yeah. If you don't like centipedes or cobras or crustaceans, you're going to hate these guys.
I mean, they're not smart. Okay. So it really would just go down to primal instinct.
Yeah, they've got average instincts. So that's fine. But if you see a little baby one of these guys and you're not prepared and you're an entirely melee-oriented party, consider turning around. Good luck. What do you think about these guys?
Well, I think, like I mentioned with the taking damage every time it's melee hit. I appreciate that because then it makes the party have to think of different tactics than just, I hit him with my axe. Okay, turn goes around, I hit him with my axe.
You gotta really think about it,
and you gotta be careful.
It does suck if the only thing you do is melee. It's like, what options would a melee fighter have in that situation? I guess it depends on what items
just
you
tank
have,
it, I guess.
Yeah. I guess that's important.
This is better than other ones are. Like, if anybody hits it within 5 feet, then if the creature, if a guy is standing within 5 feet, even if they didn't hit it, then it will take 6 acid damage or something. So at least this doesn't go that hard.
Not that hard. So my suggestion for an encounter with these guys, of course, is going with that Young One's description that I read. Have like a giant citadel or town or city or something, and the quest giver says like something's kind of off. Like, there have been these monsters that are roaming around, and the people are going missing and they're not returning, and we can't find their bodies anywhere in the snow. So you join a search party in a blizzard or winter or something, and you come across these guys somewhere, and they come up and attack you, and you down a couple of them. You tell the town about it, and then you eventually find the giants area, and you fight them, and these guys show up, and then you're in a combat fight with these guys, with giants, and there's people you need to save, and then you maybe kill. When you finally kill these guys, maybe their stomach gets open, and a bunch of bones fall out.
Ooh. Burning up the snow around it.
Yeah, and maybe there's an NPC that if you did this fast enough, you could have saved.
You gotta do that fast.
If you fail, when it dies, either like the remains have a ring on it or something, or if you kill it quick enough, as it says in the thing's ability or stat, if you kill it while a thing is alive in there, it gets to climb out.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, well, fun little stuff you do there. Don't use these guys; they suck.
No, I definitely would. Of all the ice frost things you could use in the mountains, these guys are probably near the top of the list.
Would be surprised if they're in Icewind Dale.
Yeah, I was just thinking that there's probably something in there. If they have like icy bullets, then I would imagine these guys are probably not too far off.
Nope, not at all. All right. Do you want to keep rolling the die, or should I just pick one?
No, I'll roll a die one more time.
Right,
or do you want me to hit on one of mine real fast?
Hit on one of yours.
Yeah, it kind of bounces off of this.
Do it.
The basic giants in the Monsters Manual.
This is your least favorite to use?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
You want me to tell you why?
No.
They're boring.
Damn. Okay. Why are they boring?
Go to No. Go to the giant stat block. Okay, we'll use the frost giant since we were just talking about them. They got no extra cool fun abilities in the middle. It literally is just the multi-attack, which is 2 great axe hits, or they could throw a rock. That's it. For a frost giant. The hill giant has the exact same, except replace the great axe with a great club.
But I mean, sometimes you need boring enemies in your world, you know?
Well, okay, so the giants get a lot better in Volos. And I think the storm giant is quite cool because it adds some spells and adds a lightning strike. The stone giant's a little bit better because it gives you a reaction. But the frost giant, fire giant, and hill giant are snooze fest central, man.
Damn. All right.
It's just a reskin.
I mean, plenty of things do reskins. I mean, think about goblins. They're pretty boring.
Whoa.
See?
But those are level 1 creatures.
I mean, what would you say, what level is good to fight a giant?
Okay, so they're all, I think the base ones are, actually that's not true. The frost giant is 8, fire is 9, and the hill giant's 5. So, depending on your level, you could fight a hill giant pretty early on. But the frost giant, I mean, that should be cooler. Give me some frosty abilities. I would definitely, nice. I would definitely take the thing that we did for the Oni, make it a more action-oriented creature for definitely the frost and the fire giant. Would I give them spells? No. But I would definitely give them some sort of thing that, maybe a similar ability to the Rimmeraz for the frost giant and the fire giant, except make them take fire damage if they're close to it, or ice damage if they're standing within 5 feet because they're so cold.
Well, let me ask you. Yeah. So with these guys, sure, they're boring and they're simple.
Yeah,
would you Okay, all right, man. You really like shitting on things. So hold that shit for a second.
Okay.
Keep it in. You don't have a toilet. You're not ready. Do you think that if there were to be a revision on these guys, should they be replaced in a source material, or should they be included, the boring version, and a stronger version / altered version be also present? Replaced or added?
Like I said, the Volo's guide has already fixed the issue, as there is a fire giant dreadnought that is a beefier fire giant, does other cool things, has gigantic shields and whatnot. There's a frost giant everlasting one, which is, similar to what I'm saying. It fixes the problem, makes the giants a lot more interesting, but it also makes them a lot harder.
For that, yeah, exactly. What if you want a giant for the level that the originals can still be on?
Well, to make your own, maybe. Let me check this book real fast. I think it has giants in them. I know they got gnolls, gobos.
Gnolls. We've talked about those guys before.
Hobgoblins.
Wait, what?
No, they don't have giants. Okay, I will recommend this anyway. The Ultimate Bestiary Revenge of the Horde book. We actually shouted out the Dreaded Accursed one that just came out a couple episodes ago too. But this has monsters for all levels. For bugbears, gnolls, goblins, hobgoblins, kobolds, ogres, orcs, and okiti, as well as some trolls. So I definitely recommend that if you want to make all those creatures more interesting than what's just in the basic monster manual.
I think the trolls are really fun, or at least the variant troll, where if they get limbs broken off of them, they they give you actual options.
Yeah, and the trolls also got better in later books, but.
Yeah.
The basic giants, not a fan.
I get you. I would still, if I have the party traveling, I know that a lot of the players that I interact with would see that and be like, holy heckers, maybe they yeet a stone at your party while they're traveling in a caravan.
Yeah, definitely start throwing rocks, 100%.
Yeah. And they get into a combat encounter. And since they're giants and they're boring, I wouldn't draw it out. Once they experience the wacky throwiness of the giant, maybe let it end pretty quickly or have the combat resolve, but it could be a fun, quick encounter.
It could be, but it could also very easily devolve into what I was just saying earlier about I smack him with axe, he smacks me with axe, I smack him with axe, he smacks me with axe.
Sometimes that's just what life is, man.
Well, you'd have to go listen to our combat episode and utilize a different win technique, win condition, than just a violence with just a straight up giant.
In the future, I really want to go more into creating a campaign too, because you guys seem to really enjoy listening to those episodes as well. And specifically combat, I would say those are the two most interesting topics that we've covered. Of course, I love doing this sort of stuff as well. But all right, I see your point. It is a little boring, objectively. Yeah, it doesn't do much. No. All right. You roll a little die and keep going? We're about halfway through, my guys.
We only got a couple left, right?
Yeah, we got 2. No, we got 3.
3. Well, do you want to do your news real fast?
Let's do
we're kind of in the middle.
All right, Ryan, bring me on a journey into the news. That reminds me of Cheers. Have you watched Cheers?
No, I haven't in a long time.
My brother loves Frasier. You're not a podcast until you mentioned Frasier, but my brother loves Frasier, and Frasier is in Cheers. Spoiler. So, in Cheers, they have these flourishes between scenes, and as the series goes on, they get longer and more ridiculous. And I love that that's what you're doing.
Thanks, man.
So, we've entered the lovely world of D&D news. Now, most of you may have heard of this already, and I think I might have posted about it, but I've definitely talked to Ryan already. The first, in a very thematic news segment here, we've got a D&D survey 2020 that came out on August 12th. So this was last week. Now, if you jumped into the survey, which is on dnd.wizards.com/articles, you jump in there. It asks a bunch of questions about things that seem to pertain to what you would want in a source book or even a player's handbook or an addition to player's handbook. As you know, in the past, D&D has released 3.5e, I think is what it was, or
yeah, they had a 3.5.
New versions of editions that currently exist.
Which is how Pathfinder existed.
Yeah. It starts off very simple. Have you ever played Dungeons & Dragons, tabletop role-playing game? Yes. Then ask you how often you play, which source materials you've played, and it seems like they're gathering information of what you have done with it before. Now, whether they weigh your results differently or not, I don't know, but eventually they get into asking which parts of DMing outside of play do you strongly dislike or enjoy? And a lot of it's creating combat encounters or coming up with monsters to use, economy, etc., like anything and everything involving D&D. And on the player side, they do the same thing in and out of combat, tracking initiative, items, etc., everything you could be looking for. And a lot of these questions make me feel like, especially with the questions about content, how often do you use music playlists? How often do you use battle maps and etc.? Meaning, do you go out and find these things? If so, it makes me wonder, when they make a new player's handbook or a new edition, would they maybe have a digital version that includes playlists of music or maybe more art? That could be really interesting.
I could see an offshoot or a continuation of D&D Beyond where they start adding like kind of like a Roll20 idea where you can play inside of here and everyone hops into the browser and you just click a button and it plays your curated songs that they've made or soundscapes of different areas.
Yeah. So this is really cool because the tagline for it is here, written by Wizards of the Coast. Help shape the future of D&D products by taking this survey. We want to hear about the reasons you play, the reasons you DM, and the types of tools that can help you in your play. Especially like to hear from D&D fans who may have been underrepresented historically. So I think this is awesome, and it definitely tells us, of course, they're working on either new editions or large source books, but this definitely goes hand in hand with how active Unearthed Arcana has been. So what are your thoughts on this, Ryan? What are you predicting?
I mean, I was like, they release these surveys all the damn time, yada, yada. I wasn't super intrigued about it until you mentioned, maybe they are surfing for what people would think of a new edition or stuff along those lines. And I mentioned this to Braxton, and I'm still on the fence about if a new edition is needed. I think when I think about what issues I have with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, I do have issues, but a lot of the issues would only be fixed if they were to make a new edition. Sure, they could put band-aids over them, but then the old issues, the old classes, the old subclasses still exist for people to play.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that, doing a 5.5e would be confusing, and that's the antithesis to what they're trying to do with 5.
Yeah, 5th edition was very much their way of stripping back all the extra crap and creating a very cohesive and easy to get into, which, as we can tell, Dungeons & Dragons is probably the most popular it's ever been because of that. Obviously, Critical Role and other podcasts have definitely helped shoot it into the mainstream, but I don't think people would have picked it up if it wasn't that accessible. There's a reason why Pathfinder and Critical Role, if I recall, was originally in Pathfinder, and they switched whenever they got into, made a TV show out of it. So
really,
yeah, once they started streaming it, they were like, okay, we need something a little easier to follow, so they switched to 5th edition.
That makes sense.
So there's a reason why Pathfinder is not as big as 5th edition is, because there's just a lot more going on, a lot more numbers and math. Not everyone likes doing all that.
My hope here definitely is for a 5.5e with a bit more complexity, which I don't think is very likely for those reasons you mentioned. But something happened a couple of days ago.
Okay.
And a third-party group, I believe known as Level Up, or at least that's what they're calling it, Level Up Advanced 5th Edition. So their entry thing here is, are you ready to level up your 5e game? Welcome to Level Up, the standalone advanced 5e backwards compatible tabletop RPG coming in 2021. A crunchier, more flexible version of the 5e rule set, which you know and love. They're releasing or have released a survey much like the one that Wizards of the Coast did. So this is coming out. And I want to jump through.
This is very similar to how Pathfinder began. So it was an offshoot of 3.5.
So this could be another thing coming out, but it's based off of 5e. And they've actually already released the results of the survey. And they categorized things by, these things were very important to you. You were positive about you were ambivalent about or wishy-washy about or didn't care about, you do not want, you are polarized on. And there's about 5 to 6 things in here, and I'm gonna run through them. So things that were really important for this new thing are 100% compatibility with existing 5e material, meaningful character choices at each advancement level, a fully fleshed out exploration pillar, not sure what that is, a range of martial maneuvers to give non-spellcasters more options in combat, and more ways to spend gold at higher levels. I'm not too sure about the last one there, because that can lead into some other stuff. You were positive about crafting system for magic items, mechanically distinctive weapons and armor, culture and species being separated during character creation. Hot take for them, but it seems like the people that voted on the survey like those racial bonuses. And I think if you can separate the polarizing side of that sort of stuff, it is fun to have different options. It's weird, though, to have them tied to races and say that that's the standard for that race. Hopefully they have a flexibility there. But the next part is both a warlord class and a revised spell-less ranger. Interesting. And a more detailed skill system. Things you were ambivalent about was a setting toggle between cinematic and gritty modes, an overhaul of multi-classing, kingdom or domain management, strongholds of followers. I'm surprised that's ambivalent. I think the case is most people were just like, oh yeah, I like that, but I wouldn't be crazy about it. Gaining species features as your character advances. More core classes, more tactical combat system, a full psionic system, and core rules. And the things people didn't want were like more social combat mechanically represented, more core species again, which is interesting. I'm surprised at that. Piecemeal species building method of character creation. So being able to bring in different things modular for your species. And things that they also didn't want was a new initiative system, which I'm very surprised on. Things people really didn't want was prestige classes, an immortal tier for levels 20 to 30.
Yeah,
moving alignment.
It's too much.
Yeah, and more granularity to ability checks and advantage, disadvantage. Now, a lot of the things that I think would need to be improved in 5e are bringing more granularity to ability checks, adding kingdom and domain management followers, and more complicated stuff. 5e already does 100% compatibility with 5e material, of course.
Yeah, I find that interesting that they're going to be changing so much or adapting so much, but still making it 100% compatible with all 5th edition books. Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. My biggest thing that I didn't see on here was improved warlocks. But I'm sure that's in all the other stuff. And that was a little bit long-winded, but I think it's really important to tell you guys about this. The survey is closed. It says
they will have a Kickstarter in early 2021.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this, both with whatever the Wizards of the Coast is cooking up and whatever Level Up is doing. I'm kind of jealous that I'll be starting, or will hopefully be starting, the live play podcast that we're doing soon, but it'll happen before these come out.
Well, I mean, if this is compatible, you could always just add it in.
That's very true. Very, very true. So I was particularly excited about these things because I always love new stuff. Of course, who doesn't? But this is cool. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it. Still, I have to see some more information about it. I'm definitely, open to the idea.
Mm-hmm. They also were hiring, but it's closed on the 14th. So
the guy that runs it has his own podcast. If you guys want to go listen to what he does.
Oh,
Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG talk.
Well, that's fun. I didn't know that. But yeah, I was really excited to tell you guys about that because I think it's interesting to talk about how to improve things on a larger scale, as we do in forums, but this is more of an official thing where people are putting money into it and it's treading on some dangerous waters.
Wonder how much they would charge for it.
I don't know. I assume like $40. That seems to be around.
There's the I don't remember what's Xanathar's extra guide or something that's on DM's Guild. That was a bunch of other, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the book is called, but it's a group of guys from DM's Guild that make, a lot of adventures and stuff, and they all got together and made a kind of a second Xanathar's Guide to Everything Part 2.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. I love that sort of stuff so much. And there's all this stuff on DM's Guild, of course.
It's called Xanathar's Lost Notes to Everything Else.
How cute is that?
Yeah, it's got a bunch of new subclasses, new backgrounds, a new race, new rule modules, and more magic items in a short tier 1 adventure.
Any Warlock stuff?
Yeah, there's 2. Warlock the Chaos and Warlock the Noble Genie.
Dumb.
Well, you don't know. That
Chaos
could be
seems
cool.
cool, but
Could be cool
tired of the
mechanically.
genie stuff, man.
This is before the genie.
Wizards of the Coast stole it.
Maybe
Maybe they did. I don't know. So we got how many more guys to go through?
3
4.
and my 1 dude. Yeah, so 4
Yeah.
technically.
All right. Let's blow through these boys.
All right, I'll roll a d4.
Roll it.
1, 2, 3, go. It's a 3.
So let's just go through the ones we've got left. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this guy was my least favorite until I noticed a specific thing in the backstory.
Okay.
So if there is not this one limitation on this guy, he would be impossible to kill.
Okay.
So this is somebody who has come back from the dead or refuses to die until he is able to, or she or they or whoever is able to enact revenge on somebody, a specific adversary. This is also a...
No, I'll wait. I was going to guess, but I'll wait till you keep going.
You get it. This is also a specific background, I believe, that was added. And one of our good friends almost ran a one-shot for these guys. This is the Revenant.
Yeah.
So these guys hunger for revenge. I want to hold off on saying this specific limitation until the end to give you the same effect of freaking out as I did until I noticed. But a Revenant forms from the soul of a mortal who met a cruel and undeserving fate. It claws its way back into the world to seek revenge against the one who wronged it. It finds a mortal body and superficially resembles a zombie. However, instead of a lifeless eyes or Revenant's eyes burn with resolve and flare in the presence of its adversary. So this can be pretty much anything. It can be evil, good, whatever. It just depends on who they want to kill and why. So these guys they don't need air, food, they don't need drink, they don't need sleep.
Yeah, they're undead.
No magic. Also can hide a creature pursued by the Revenant, so he knows where you are. For good, for forever, direction, distance, everything. So it can get to you.
Yeah, he's got GPS.
This guy is immune to poison, has +7 to strength, +7 to cause, +6 to wisdom, +7 to charisma. He is immune to charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned. Good old dark vision. Knew the languages he knew in life.
Makes
so
sense.
he regens 10 hit points at the start of its turn.
Yep.
If it takes fire damage or radiant damage, it doesn't happen. When the Revenant's body is destroyed, its soul lingers. After 24 hours, the soul inhabits and animates another humanoid corpse on the same plane of existence, just anywhere, ever, and regains all of its hit points. So it doesn't matter how far a body is, it can get there. While the soul is bodiless, a wish spell can be used to force the soul to go to the afterlife and not return.
You don't get those for a long time.
You don't. No, you don't. It also has turn immunity. It can't be turned from turn undead or anything like that. Vengeful Tracker. Of course, it's the same thing. It knows exactly when and where and how you are. In terms of attacks, it could, of course, have any weapons that you want it to have, but it does have a fist attack. It does bludgeoning, and if a target is hit by it, the target takes an extra 4d6 if it is the one it wants to kill, in addition to its 2d6 plus 4. So it's kind of interesting there. It can also grapple you if you are the specific target it's trying to get after, and its Vengeful Glare as well allows the Revenant to target one creature it can see within 30 feet, of which it has Sworn Vengeance. The target must make a DC 15, pretty low. If it fails, it is paralyzed until it is dealt damage by the Revenant, or at the end of the Revenant's next turn. And the paralysis ends, the target's frightened. So yeah, if you look at this thing, without knowing what I'm about to tell you, it cannot be killed except for a wish spell.
More or less, yeah.
But it has exactly 1 year to enact revenge, upon which it turns to dust.
Yeah.
Or if it finishes its goal, it also turns to dust. Now,
It's got a time limit.
you really, in the context of a random encounter, quote unquote, these guys would be crazy. But the only time you're going to be using them really is either as like a big bad or a really in-depth NPC or quest line.
Yeah, this would not just be, the party is walking around and then comes across the Revenant that starts fighting them.
Now, it could be a fun dungeon if you're just using it as a monster that's there. Kind of like a lot of those games like Resident Evil that always have somebody that follows you around.
Yeah, like a Mr. X cool. kind of deal.
Like a Mr. X kind of deal if you're in a mega dungeon and you kill this guy.
So would you use this guy as a like he's after a party member?
You could. I think that would be interesting. It just depends on the backstory. Now that could be really fun if you're if you're making a character and you're like, I want a revenant to be chasing after me. You could do that.
Well, if you want to get really crazy about it, you do what Braxton did and have a Rakshasa come after you.
Shit, I basically did this, didn't I?
Yeah. Rakshasas are scarier.
A little bit. A lot of people don't think they're very strong, but there's a lot of talk about that already. But I put these guys on this list before I read I don't know how I missed it, but the 1 year to exact revenge. I was like, can you only kill these guys with Wish?
Well, it's not in the stat block, I don't think.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so you'd have to read
It is not in the stat block.
Have to read the extra lore to get that juicy bit.
If you only have the stat block, you can't kill these guys. But I do think if you're doing a mega dungeon, these guys could be really cool.
Yeah, I would like to use these because it says they're just straight up neutral. You know, they don't have, I guess, at this point, have no concept of good or evil. They're just after the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You could use them as a quest giver, and then they become a NPC party member to go after some sort of creature or entity that the party goes to help them kill and put this guy to rest finally.
Yeah, there's so many ways to use these guys. So it'd be super fun. So as a DM, love them. As a player, if it's in a mega dungeon, fuck. Otherwise,
yeah, most things. The trend on this list is either things that can burrow and pop out and spook you out, or the ones that can't die.
What else is there?
I mean, that is the two painful things to deal with as a player, I guess.
Mm-hmm. But the Revenant, I'm more of a fan of him now. I think it could be fun because as a party, you don't know this thing only has a year, and he just keeps coming back. So it could be a fun recurring thing, or if he's on your party, that's what you do there. But hopefully we gave you some ideas, spark some stuff. Shall we move on?
Sure.
All right. You got not many more left. Got 2.
I got a 4. So can we shit on my last one here?
Sure.
I believe in our combat episode, I mentioned a cool idea for these guys, or at least a type of them. But just the basic, similar to my shitting all over the basic ooze. The basic giant. Up. The basic ooze also is super boring.
Is it?
Yeah, just a regular ooze.
Mm-hmm.
Boring.
What's it do?
Well,
yeah?
Which one? Okay, so we got the black pudding, which is all right.
Wait a minute.
The gelatinous cube is better.
Wait a minute. Can we stop?
Okay, what's up?
Black pudding is one of mine.
All right, you want to cover it all in one here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the black pudding, I'm that one I'm all right with. I'll admit. Why do you hate it?
So let me refresh my brain going through here. So this guy, I believe it's because it destroys your weapons.
Yes.
Which big sucks. It wouldn't matter.
Stuff.
I don't know if it would matter for a Hexblade's weapon. What do you think? Non-magical ammunition made of metal or wood?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's got corrosive form. So if a creature that touches the pudding or hits it with a melee attack within 5 feet of it, you take 1d8 acid damage, which Ryan probably likes. But any non-magical weapon made of metal or wood that hits it corrodes. After dealing damage, the weapon takes a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to damage rolls. If its penalty is -5, the weapon is destroyed.
Early
I don't want to interact with it, but as a DM, I think this is cool if you know your players can get that.
Yeah, I mean, if the players don't have magic items yet, this thing is gonna eat through their inventory,
which sucks. I don't want to encounter it.
It's got an AC of 7 though.
It does, so you can hit it, but you're gonna lose your weapon.
Yeah, well, I mean, unless you're shooting arrows, maybe.
Again, this list of monsters I have here is not monsters that I hate to use. It's monsters as a player role playing I don't want to run into. I'd be like, fuck. So this thing, if I had a melee weapon, if I was a melee dude, also it can climb on surfaces and shit like a slime can do and split and whatnot. But for that sole reason of the corrosive form,
pretty much
Don't take my weapons.
All of them except for the gelatinous cube have that ability. Actually,
Really?
that's not true. The ochre jelly doesn't, but the gray ooze does as well.
Damn. Big oof.
Yeah, the reason I don't like these guys is because, to me, from a roleplay standpoint, oozes aren't fun. You have them in dungeons, and that's it. You're not gonna have these guys. You can't. With an ooze, the only way to get out is either to run or to kill it. There's no having a parlay with these guys or communicating.
You don't
as
have to have a parlay with every monster.
I know, but my point being, it's a one-track creature, and one-track creatures can be interesting, but I find oozes, just to be boring. And tossing them in dungeons,
and slimes.
That's about it.
Pretty much the same thing as goblins. Like they're so intrinsic to role-playing games that I think it's a shame to not use them. But maybe they are boring. You could use them more as a trap or something, like a pile of slimes.
Well, mix some stuff together, slimes. Like I mentioned in I think it was the combat one, or something with that one golem and the gelatinous cube, where it can keep healing while it's inside the cube. That's kind of a cool little option. But just a gelatinous cube, sure, fine. It's a classic D&D creature. Yeah. But is it one I would use? Probably not. No.
Big oof. All right, I know I don't have to worry about one of my fears now. I won't use slimes on me.
No, slime's a different story.
Oh, okay. Well, at least oozes. We're safe there.
Yeah.
So does this leave us with one more thing?
I guess it does. Yeah, we kind of did two birds with one stone there. How exciting!
Hell yeah! So, I mentioned in the
D1
episode.
Here.
Oh, there's only. Wonder which one you'll hit. D1 always picks the same thing. So, I mentioned this last time. Do you like spiders?
I'm ambivalent about them.
Are you one of those people that if you're playing Skyrim, you mod the spiders to be like dogs or something?
I don't. I did see a new game where you are it's like a platformer as a spider, and they added an arachnophobia option where it turns a spider into a cute little ball.
There's a lot of people that are very afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
So if you don't like Uncanny Valley stuff, this guy's not for you. So the Ettercap is a humanoid spider. And I don't mean like your waifu monster Musume. I mean disgusting, two-limbed, purple, beer belly, spider face, pulsing, veiny, claw, gross looking.
All right, okay.
Weird boy.
All right, my God.
He's
the
spoopy.
amount of rude adjectives you just gave this poor
We're shitting on things. This guy is scary. He's a quiet killer, man. When travelers explore or venture into the Ettercap's territory, the Ettercap stalks them. He stalks you.
Yeah, so you encountered one of these.
Blindly to traps.
You remember this?
What? What?
It was slightly modified, but you did encounter one of these. And
when?
A long time. You didn't fight them. I use it differently than just using them as a combat mechanic.
Did it talk? Was it like a Bloodborne sort of thing?
It didn't talk to you guys. It talked to some other NPCs you guys were with. You were investigating a castle, and they told you not to investigate it.
Wait,
because
this was that?
They were protecting an Ettercap inside that had helped them over the years.
This was that? I thought it was like an actual spider thing.
No, it was this thing.
Oh, that was a fun time. It was kind of cute, though.
Yeah, but I did tweak it a little bit, so it wasn't just... Because if you just look at the stat block, there are no languages for it.
Yeah. This guy's got a lot of abilities, though. So, I can see why Ryan used. They're enemies of the Fae. They want to kill them, eat them, choop on them. There's a variant of them? Web girl? I'll check that out later. But the reason I don't like these guys is purely just because of how they look. They're spoopy. Can you imagine an army of these guys running at you?
With spiders.
With spiders? Yeah, they do have spiders with them. So they can spider climb, of course. They have web sense. If you're touching their webs, they know where you are. And they can walk on their webs. They have multi-attack, a bite, which poisons you if you fail a constitution of DC 11. It's not that high. So they're not super strong.
No, they're CR 2. Probably the lowest thing you've had on your list. But, I mean, you got to have things for all tiers of play.
If you're looking for a freaky monster to throw at your low-level party, this could be a good one.
Yeah. A couple of them in a nest with some little boy spiders.
Traps and whatnot.
Because general spiders are not the most interesting mechanically, but if you include them with other things, then it can be interesting.
I want to see what this web garrote is. I know Ryan doesn't want me to.
No, it just uses them to, you can use a piece of web as like a string and like strangle somebody.
Oh, lame. Yep. So these guys, like, purely just because of how they look, they are freaky, leathery, weird, beady-eyed looking. Freaky man, freaky boy, Ettercap. Don't want him in my life. No, thank you.
I love how it describes them as a shepherd that oversees a flock of sheep, but their sheep are spiders.
I feel like Jamie would love this guy.
Yeah, they can be cute.
He was a nice boy when we talked to him.
Yeah.
He was kind of sweet. He just wanted to survive.
Well, it's like, like Aragog from Harry Potter. JD, careful, my man.
Calm down, JD.
He just fell. Trying to jump up to me. Poor bastard.
Oh, man. It's rude, but it's so funny when a cat falls because they just act like that didn't happen.
Yeah, because they're prideful, man.
You fell, not me. I didn't fall. So that's my list of things that I don't want to encounter as a player, with the Remoraz on the top of that list.
It was a good list, man.
You liked it?
There were some curveballs in there, things I didn't expect.
Yeah. So that's from the entirety of the player's handbook. Maybe we'll go through some other source materials. Monster manual. Maybe we'll go through some other materials at some other point.
I mean, there's a few things in there that I'm surprised weren't on your list.
Yo, you know what? Do you know?
I'm surprised there wasn't an aboleth on your list.
But aboleth are cool.
I mean, they're cool, but
you carry them would be like, bruh.
I know, but encountering them as a player, not fun.
But you're not just going to encounter these guys, though.
Well, eventually you will if you don't deal with them.
Listen, they're from the far realms, right?
Yeah. Well,
under no circumstance, me as a player, would I not want to encounter this thing.
They're kind of from the far realms.
They're so cool. Like, any character I play would be so interested in old things that existed before
they're
gods.
older. Yeah, they're older than the gods.
Like, how cool is that? How cool is that?
I'm surprised I didn't put blights on my list, but I think I've already crafted them enough.
I think, yeah, I'm glad you didn't. Good early level monsters, I think, is when we talked about those guys, and I did not like blights in that one. You did not like those boys.
No.
Anything else that you're surprised I didn't have?
I did like that you included the Death Knight. I like those bad boys. I'm surprised there weren't more of like the demons on there, because some of them can be pretty tough to deal with.
To be fair, like, that's just a genre of things I'm interested in. Also, there's so many that I just didn't feel like going through all of them. Right. So I just said demons as a whole, yes or no. And I said, yeah, I'm fine with them.
But the dragons, what's your opinion on them?
I mean, I kind of find dragons to be boring sometimes.
True, but they're very powerful.
They are very powerful. But they're like strong in terms of damage and things that they can do. But they don't really particularly have anything that makes me go, eesh. Because obviously there's stuff that I would be like, as a player, as a character, that's going to kill me.
Like, yeah,
a lot of things can kill
or
me.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things can kill me. A Formian can maim my beautiful face.
Yeah, you don't want to be maimed. That's not fun for anybody involved.
Black Pudding can remove my weapon. A Remoraz can eat me whole and burn me alive if I touch it. An Ettercap is ugly. These are things that I don't want to interact with.
What about the Intellect Devourer?
Oh, fuck. See, anything that comes from Far Realms or Mind Flayers, I want to interact with. Yeah,
well, so the Intellect Devourers are deceptively high-level things. So they're, AC of 12, hit points 21, CR2. But because of their little ability called Devour Intellect,
yes,
they can mince through a low-level party if you're not careful.
So in my other campaign that I do on occasion, we've been on a bit of hiatus. We might do it again this weekend. They fought a couple of Intellect Devourers, and I made it into such a horror fest. It was amazing. Like, one of the more powerful beings, I guess, like one of the heroes of the realms that they've been partying around with or venturing around with. Something cast like a darkness spell, and he was like, shit, guys, get out of here now. And he locked the door behind them, and they heard a bunch of scratching and like spell blasting. And this thing was like jumping on him, failing passing saves, and it was so creepy because they had no idea what was going on, and like darkness was spewing out. So it was such a mystery. Nice. It was so fun. But yeah, Ettercaps are gross.
Oh, geez. Okay. We weren't even talking about Ettercap, and you're popping them back up. How rude.
Just got to make sure that you know.
My God. I feel like you would also hate the Rust Monster for similar reasons.
Rust Monster?
Yeah, it just destroys your weapons.
Yeah, I almost put that guy on this list.
Yeah, we've talked about these guys, and I'm interested to see your more in-depth opinion on them at a later date when we cover them on the podcast. But the Slot, you said those guys were terrifying, but you didn't include them on your list.
The who?
The Slotty.
Slotty?
Those frog dudes?
Oh my God. I almost did.
Yeah.
But I feel like these guys would be good for a whole episode.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a whole episode on them because they come in multiple shapes and colors, and
these guys are
all badass,
insane. We definitely should do an episode on them. I think that's why I didn't put them in here.
Okay, all right, respect, dude, respect.
Respect.
I think that about covers the ones that I'm surprised you didn't put on.
I'm glad we talked about that because that was fun. That was exciting. I know you've got an Aboleth in your game somewhere,
or two.
Or 12.
Or yeah. I mean, they were there before the gods, man. They are just chilling, taking it easy.
Like a villain, man. They are doing that. So, thank you for hanging around. Thank you for listening to my list.
Oh, you're not talking to me. All right.
No. I talk to you all the time. All the time.
Yeah,
remember, those of you that are listening right now, the Ettercap, you don't want, no. Don't use it. Definitely don't draw it and send it to me.
No, they could probably draw some cute ones. I want to see them.
No. Definitely do not draw it and send it to us at our social medias, which happen to be at Dungeon Crawl Pod, both on Twitter and Instagram. And especially don't send us a write-up on why you like them with several examples on how you could use them in games. Sending that to our Gmail at thedungeoncrawlpod@gmail.com. Don't do that.
I'm sure Braxton would really hate it if you wrote a 5-star review talking about the Ettercap too on iTunes.
I would absolutely hate that. Don't you dare. Move that cursor. Take that finger off the screen. Don't do it.
Do it.
He's been Ryan.
He's been Braxton, as always.
And this always, of course, was the Dungeon Crawl. Thanks for lending me your ear.